Welcome, everybody, to Afterthoughts. This is a podcast where we rewatch movies, we discuss our first and second impressions of the movies, and discuss a related topic as well. My name is Joshua Kazemi, and I'm here with my co-host, Coleman Taylor.
Taylor, I like that. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and we're talking about 2015's The Big Short. I'm pretty sure it was 2015.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah, that's right. And here we are.
Yeah. I love oxymoronic movies.
I like that. Oxymoronic. That's funny. That's a funny way to use that.
Yeah, hilarious.
Yeah, we're so funny. Before we dive into our first and second impressions, do you want to take us through the plot of The Big Short?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, in America, there was a huge... the economy, took a turn for the worse, so to say. And this movie is really just a glimpse into the housing market and why the economy suddenly took a downturn. So this guy figured out early on, before anything happened, that the housing market was going to crash because he took the time to look in these bonds that have thousands of mortgages in them. I believe I'm saying that right. There's a lot of housing and economic terms in this movie that kind of go over my head. But, so he looks into these bonds, and I think that's what he's looking at. He's looking in bonds, or do they contain bonds? I don't know. Whatever. He looks into them, and he sees that they're all risky, and that people in these are probably not paying their mortgages, and so he decides to short the housing market, and a bunch of other guys see that he's doing this as well and decide, hey, he's probably right after doing some research, and they do it as well. And it's the twists and turns of whether or not they're right and if they're going to actually win out in this and if they're going to actually short the housing market.
Mm-hmm. And it's based on a book, and it's based on a true story.
Yes.
And one of the things I love about the movie is that based on that plot summary alone, it doesn't sound like it's going to be this really funny, really emotional, dramatic, engaging movie. It sounds like, like a history lesson that goes over your head. But this movie is awesome and communicates that story really well for any audience.
Spoiler for your second impression. Jeez.
That's first impression stuff.
Oh, does it just get destroyed in your second impression? I guess we'll find out.
We'll see. We'll find out. You want to? Why don't you take us away? What was your first impression? When did you see it?
See, there's not going to be much difference between my first and second because I only saw this movie for the first time a few months ago, like probably October or November of. No, it was December. I saw it in December of 2016. So
awesome. Well,
like 3 months ago. So there really isn't going to be that much different for me. I kind of like what you were saying. I think they really pulled off this movie well, being what it is. Like, it's about the housing market and an economic crisis and things that you would right up front think are boring, but they're not. The characters make this movie interesting. There's a bunch of ups and downs, and just what I think the most interesting part, and this is kind of going into my second impression because they really are just melded together, but just how these people are shorting the housing market and want to make money off that, but at the same time are sad about it and hate how corrupt everything is. It's just really interesting.
I saw this when it was out in theaters, and I really enjoyed the movie. It reminded me of The Social Network, which is one of my favorites in that it's this really intelligent, well-directed, well-acted, paced and edited movie. It's just like firing on all cylinders. It's just that kind of stuff is so fun to watch for me, and I just kind of got lost in it. It's a well-oiled machine, I think, and I was really proud of the director Adam McKay, who we'll talk about later in the topic time. But he's known for directing a ton of comedies and then delivered this really rich drama. So yeah, I mean, I think what works about this movie is that they're really heady ideas and topics, but the movie has a lot of great style and it has its own unique voice. and the celebrity explainers are really fun, and the way that it's edited, and the way that Ryan Gosling's character talks directly to the camera, it has a very distinct style, and it's really fun, and it's filled with humor, and so it makes sort of heady ideas and topics palatable to everybody, and I think that's a real strength of this movie. And so those are all the kinds of things I really enjoyed about it.
I just really thought it was interesting that they could pull it off, and that all the characters were fun to follow.
Yeah.
They were all different enough, even though they were very similar. Like, their goals were all pretty much the same thing, but they were all distinct enough that it was fun to follow I guess, essentially 3 groups of people.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun to follow all 3 of them, even though they were all pretty much just going for the same goal.
You haven't read the book, have you?
No.
Okay. I'm curious. I want to talk to someone who's read the book. I wonder how similar they are. I wonder if, like, the humor and the style is sort of present in the book in some way, or if it was just that was the way they chose to adapt it for the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Curious. I went into this week thinking that I was going to enjoy the movie so much more, because it was only the second time I was seeing it, and I figured there was a lot that I missed. So I went into this one really excited to, like, love the movie more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
moving into seconds. Should we just do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
I still really enjoy the movie. I would even say that I still love the movie. It's really fun, and I really like the way that it works, the way that it's built and constructed. I don't know if I love it anymore. It's probably about the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's exactly what I remember it being. There wasn't too much new stuff that I discovered in a rewatch. It just kind of was like, it was almost exactly what I remembered it being.
I mean, it's still pretty much exactly what I remember it being, because I watched it so short apart
Sure. Yeah.
from one another. But I would say I just like this movie. I liked that they were able to pull it off and everything that happened in it, but I just like it. That's it. I think the idea of what this movie is already drags it down. I think it was a hard subject to make a movie about, and so I admire that they were able to put the things in it that they were, the humor, the fact that it was fun despite what the subject was about, and breaking the fourth wall all the time. I loved that. I thought that was a really interesting aspect of this kind of movie, and I like that they did that. But at the same time, I don't think there would have ever been any way possible that this would have ever been my favorite movie, or a movie I even loved. I like it. It's a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything about it you disliked?
Not necessarily. It kind of, I mean, it goes back and forth a lot, but like I said, the characters are diverse enough and fun enough to watch that I enjoy it. And the fact that they, almost all of them, well, I guess half of them break the fourth wall. Ryan Gosling and the 2 younger guys do, but not Christian Bale and not Steve Carell.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say there's anything I don't like about it other than just what it's generally about.
Sure.
Maybe it kind of feels a little sloppy in, like, the pacing at times, but I mean, it's kind of to be expected when it's about what it's about. There's not much to do with the plot, because it's just like these characters striving for this goal.
This time around, I do feel like it was a little long. Not too much, and I don't even know what I would cut from it. But I guess the first time around, I'm sitting there in the theater, and I'm really honestly just curious about how it's gonna pan out for all these characters. And there's a lot of them, so there's a lot of ground to cover. And so in the theater, it was just kind of like, okay, yeah, what's happening next? Okay. But this time, knowing what happens, it was just kind of like, yeah, there's a chunk towards the end that feels like it's dragging just a little bit. But it's not that big of a deal. It's just one thing that I noticed this time around. The thing that I still really love about the movie was still present in the second viewing. I think it's like expertly packaged. Like there's so much dense, like language, but there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of rich character stuff going on because they are our way into this story. The only way we're ever going to really understand it emotionally is if we connect with those characters. And so despite the fact that there's like a ton of jargon that's tossed at you, we're always still getting like interesting character beats. And I like all that stuff about it. That stuff was really made me enjoy it. And, you know, and like we said before, like all the little style things are great. The celebrity cameos, the talking directly to the camera. I even like the way that it's edited is awesome. Like the clips of news footage, the pictures of people, like the way that it sort of rapidly flashes on the screen at times. I liked all that stuff. I also really, really liked the way that the movie was shot. Because apparently the director, he had like 2 or 3 cameras per scene, and he had them really far off, like I guess the quote unquote stage, and he'd have them backs and corners, and then he would just have the cameramen following the actors around, like zooming in and tracking and panning, and I like that because it made it sort of almost feel like a play. The characters can move wherever they want, they can interact with each other however they want, and then the camera it's almost like. It almost feels like it's the eyes of a real person in that room tracking the people and tracking the story. It makes it all feel really real and organic, and I think it adds to what the movie is talking about. And also, like, because of that, the way that you don't usually do that for a film, you do one camera setup and you light it, you get from one angle, and then you switch the camera to another angle in the same exact scene, and you light it differently so that the whole movie looks cinematic. But this looks like, or at least looks like, it's all natural lighting, and because the characters can move and interact with each other however they want, it all just feels that much more real. And then to take all that footage and cut it together in a way that really works, I think it's like masterfully edited. So I guess I like all that stuff on this technical level. To me, I love the movie because it's really technically proficient, and I really enjoy all that stuff from a filmmaker standpoint.
I feel like it's also just a very satisfying movie, and I kind of wish it was even more satisfying because you already know, if you know about the marketing crash, you know that they're right on the onset, that you know that they're already correct about their assumptions. You know that they're at least going to win out somehow in the end, but still just how much they put against them and continue to put these walls and these obstacles that are in their way of them actually being right. It really is satisfying to get to the end of this movie despite knowing they're right in the beginning. It's still fun to go with them and see what they have to go through on the way. And then at the end, it's just so satisfying when they're right, and you feel just like them. You're satisfied that they're right, but you feel terrible because you see these people just losing their jobs, and you know this is going to be terrible for the country at large. And it's just awesome that they were able to convey that in this movie. And I honestly wish they conveyed the satisfaction a little more, specifically on the Christian Bale front. All you ever see him is like right in the end. He is right. He writes on that dry erase board like how much he improved, and it's like I wish there was more. I mean, it would practically be him like gloating, but
yeah,
I'd still wish there was like even more satisfaction that he was right. But yeah, I was really impressed that I could feel that way by the end of this movie, despite in the beginning knowing that's how it's going to end up anyways.
Yeah. But I do like where the characters end up emotionally, because I think like one of the seminal moments for me in the movie is when the 2 younger guys with Brad Pitt are celebrating in the casino, and they're dancing and they're so excited, and Brad Pitt tells them to stop. He like shuts them down, and he reminds them and reminds the audience, like, if these characters win, if these characters get what they want, it means that people are going to die. People are going to lose their houses. It means the collapse of the market. And he like brings us back to reality. So for all the characters, I really like this. It's this bittersweet ending for all of them. They all win and they're all satisfied because they're right, but they're also all dealing with the fact that the country's in shambles. And I like that the movie doesn't forget either side. It is bittersweet. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
But I think Steve Carell's hair is terrible.
You just hate any time an actor or actress just dresses up in a way that doesn't actually look like them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it has to be really good or it's distracting. And it just, the whole movie, it looks like he's in an SNL sketch. Thankfully he is such a good performer that you forget about it. But like, initially it's just, dude, your hair looks so bad.
Your hair looks so bad. What did you like? What was that other movie he did though that he dressed up hardcore?
It was that wrestling movie.
Yeah.
Channing Tatum and the Hulk. Mark Ruffalo.
Foxcatcher?
Foxcatcher? Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I never saw it either. But didn't you hate his makeup in that movie too?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to see the whole movie before I commented on it because that's only based on trailers and movie posters. Like, I'm sure that maybe it would look better or in an entire movie if he's like that. But I don't know. Yeah, generally I don't like stuff like that. Like Looper trying to make him look like Bruce Willis, I thought was dumb. But
Did you see? Goodness, what's his name? Captain Jack Sparrow. Goodness.
Johnny Depp?
Yes, Johnny Depp. Did you see him in his movie where he played the real guy in real life as well? Because I feel like when they do it, it's either, well, Looper's an exception. They were just trying to make him look like Bruce Willis, but I feel like anytime they're trying to portray someone in real life, they try and dress them up like them as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like you don't typically like that.
I mean, I just feel like it's a difficult thing to do. To take an actor who is like, I mean, obviously the way that the movie industry is, you pick actors who are bankable. It's literally picking the actors who are the most recognizable, who have the most name recognition. So you're taking someone who's in the public eye a lot and in other movies a lot, and then you're trying to make them look like someone different. And so it's just like, I think it's a difficult thing to do. You can make characters look different from movie to movie, even if they're playing fictional characters, and that's fine. But to really go out of your way to make someone look drastically different with like completely different hair or completely different noses or whatever, like all that stuff just seems really, I don't know, like jarring if not done really well.
Yeah.
I feel like it's an aesthetic that you're going for, whereas like, you don't really have to do that. Like random example, what's his name? Cuba Gooding Jr. plays O.J. Simpson in The People vs. O.J. And they didn't try to make him look like O.J. Simpson or make him sound or talk like O.J. Simpson, but the performance is still good because he's just playing that character. And so it's not they didn't make too many aesthetic decisions. It was just character decisions. And I think that's what's more important than the way they look or the way they dress.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nitpicky thing.
So you hate Steve Carell's hair in this movie?
Yes. Do you think that you would like this movie more if it was packaged just the same way, but it was about a different subject matter?
Probably.
Okay. Just curious.
But it's also packaged the way it is
because of
the subject matter. So it's a tough question. Like if this was suddenly some movie, some sci-fi movie, or even just another nonfiction movie, but about something else, some different subject, I don't know if the way this is packaged with breaking the fourth wall and the kind of humor that's in this movie, I don't know if it would play the same.
Well, okay. Well, what if it's like, what if this was an adaptation of a deep sci-fi show or something with a lot of lore, a lot of history, a lot of like insider information, right? And so it's packaged this way as a way to explain to any audience member, like, hey, this is who this character is, and this is their backstory. And in episode 270, they did this, and that's why this is the way that it is. If it was like a way to explain a deep legacy or deep like story behind a franchise, I think that would be really fun. And
yeah, but have they ever done that in the show before or wherever it's come from?
No, I was just about to say
it wouldn't changing the structure.
Right. It wouldn't please fans of the original, but it would be a funny way to introduce new people to a franchise. You know, like that's why I want to talk to a person who's read this book. I want to know if they like it just as much, because if all this humor and style was added as a way to adapt the movie, I wonder if they felt like they've sort of diminished the book.
Who knows?
Who knows? Didn't read this one.
Well,
is that all you got?
That's all I got.
Me too.
So would you tell someone to watch this?
Absolutely. Anyone. I don't know who I wouldn't suggest this to.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I concur. But I also think I would be fine with never watching it again. Like, not in a bad way.
Sure.
Like, I would watch it again if someone's like, hey, let's watch The Big Short. I would, maybe not right this second, but probably watch it again in the near future. But I would also be fine with never watching it again.
I definitely want to watch this again.
But like you said, it just kind of feels exactly the same as the first time you saw it.
Yeah, that's true. It might, yeah, and in that sense, it might have diminishing returns over time.
Like, I think it's just, like, you can watch it once and you'll get everything you can out of it. Whether or not you desire to or not, I'm just saying, I think it'd be fine if I never watched it again.
Yeah.
But I would, if you haven't seen it, I would totally recommend it.
Well, so we move on to topic time?
Let's do it.
All right, this week we're talking about writer-director Adam McKay, the writer and director of The Big Short.
Adam McKay.
Now, I find this guy fascinating because he's done a lot of great stuff, and The Big Short was vastly different than most of his other work. I just think it's fascinating that he was able to sort of do that. So, for those of you who don't know, he started on Saturday Night Live. I think that's probably his biggest thing. Might not be where he started, but was on SNL for a while as a director, and then went on to write and direct Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, The Other Guys, Anchorman 2, and then The Big Short, which is not a comedy starring Will Ferrell. You know, it's like it's a drama that is rich with comedy. That's what I think he brings that to the table in a great way. But I just was so blown away that this really silly comedy director like went on to direct this Academy Award winning drama.
Yeah, and it's especially impressive because of the kind of humor his other movies is. They're kind of nonsensical, let's see how ridiculous we can be, while this is very not ridiculous. The humor, there is humor in it, but it's serious humor. You might be taken out of the movie for a second because they're talking to you, but it's not, it's sensical. There's sense to it. It's not how crazy, ridiculous, far-fetched can we be. It's how can we apply this comedy to the movie. It's not like, it's like in Anchorman, I feel like we're at one point and they want to take you to like just completely to a completely different point just to make you laugh. Yeah. Like take you completely out of that moment. Like, why would you even think of that in the situation you're currently in? Well, in this one, it's the exact opposite. In the situation you're in, how can we make this funny? Yeah,
it's true. It's true to the characters and true to the moments. But one thing another thing that's interesting is just the idea that like all these Will Ferrell movies, they're all highly improvised. Like Adam directs from like behind the monitor, behind the cameras. He has a microphone, and they'll be doing scenes, and he'll stop them and say over the sound system, like, try this line, let's try that, or they'll just completely rewrite the scenes on set, and they'll try to capture the funniest moments. They're like sort of known for doing that, and he did the same thing on The Big Short. But what's interesting is that the Academy Awards they won't honor your screenplay if there was a lot of improvising, because you didn't write it. It just happened on set. Like, for instance, Aladdin, Disney wanted Aladdin to be nominated for screenwriting, but because Robin Williams improvised so much of his character, they didn't deem it eligible. But this won Best Adapted Screenplay. So I just think it's fascinating that this improvisational director kept his style of directing for this drama, and they didn't improvise that much to it, but it's still to see him succeeding in a completely different genre, having to restrain himself from what he always usually did in terms of improvisational comedy. I think it was awesome, like to find the truth in the comedy instead, and to find comedy in what was already there, like what you're saying is awesome.
And I'm curious to see where he'll go from here.
Yeah.
Like, will he
I'm
continue?
really
Is he just going to go back to his comedies, or will he, I don't know, switch off? Will he completely go more dramatic? It's interesting.
One thing he seems to be doing on the side, I don't think this is his main gig, but he helped write the screenplay for Ant-Man, which seems real random to me, but he knows Paul Rudd. And then he's also co-writing the story for the Ant-Man sequel. So he's doing that over there at Marvel.
It's really just an impressive repertoire, if you will.
Yeah.
Just being able to flow in and out of those kinds of movies. Because we've talked about directors before and how they seem to get like gridlocked into their own style.
Right.
And they can't really do anything outside of that. So while these movies still have hints of his style, like we've been mentioning, he's very improvisational. His humor is kind of the same. It's interesting that he can flow in and out of different kinds of movies. Because even Ant-Man is different from The Big Short and different from Anchorman.
Yeah.
It's more structured but not as, like, it's structured like The Big Short, but more comical and less serious, while it's comical just like Anchorman, but it's more structured.
Yeah.
It kind of combines those two. So it's interesting that he can flow out in and out of all those dynamics.
And if you want more Adam McKay in your life, you can follow him on Twitter. His handle is Ghost Panther. That guy's so funny. You want to talk? Let's talk about like some of his older movies. Do you have out of the list that I read, do you have one that stands out to you as a favorite? Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, the other guys.
It's probably just Anchorman, because I've seen Talladega Nights and Step Brothers, and they're really funny, but they were never my favorite, and I never quoted them as much as I quoted Anchorman.
Right? Yeah, I would say like Anchorman 2, Talladega Nights, and Step Brothers. They're all sort of in the same sort of ballpark for me. And I think Anchorman is the best of those, and I like all of them. But I really like the other guys. The other guys seemed so different, and I think it's largely due to like Mark Wahlberg playing off of Will Ferrell. Like that's just a different dynamic than all these other movies. And so the other guys I was like really delighted by when I saw it. I was not expecting it, and there's a great comedic return by Michael Keaton as the police captain and Bed Bath & Beyond manager. He's hilarious.
I haven't seen the other guys, so
it's so good, man. It's really, really funny.
I've heard both. I've heard it's really funny, and also that it's not. So
you gotta check it out and find out for yourself. Oh man,
that's true.
I'd love to see that again.
I'll probably take you up on your recommendation.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. Out of those, before The Big Short, it's probably Anchorman. But I think I like The Big Short better than I like Anchorman.
See, there you go. But I also feel like it's your kind. It's more anchored towards the kind of movie you like. Anchored. Because I think you like silly movies, but I think you'd prefer one with characters who have actual set goals rather than just running around.
Having fights in the park.
Yeah. Being lost in glass cases of emotions.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm going to keep an eye on this guy. I'm definitely so curious to see what he does in the future.
Yeah.
Also, he co-founded Funny or Die. Didn't mention that. That's a big feather in his cap.
Oh. Yeah, I'm interested to see where he'll go. Especially if he can pull off a movie like The Big Short and then after what he's done in the past.
Well, I guess that'll do it.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. We really appreciate it. If you want to keep supporting the podcast, it'd be awesome if you could write us a review on iTunes and share this podcast with a friend. You can tweet at us using the hashtag AfterthoughtsPodcast, and you can find our handles in the description. They're not as good as Ghost Panther, but, they're fine. Next week, we're going to talk about Garden State in honor of Zach Braff's new movie. I think it's called Going in Style. Maybe that's wrong. But either way, watch Garden State and tune in next week. That'd be awesome. I think that'll do it, man. I think that's the show.
That'll do. You keep saying that. Reminds me of Babe every time.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, we're a movie podcast. That's fine.
Yeah. That's okay.
All right, y'all. We will see you next
See
week.
y'all.